long time ago, this movie was made by Miramax. Miramax was owned by Disney at that point. It became something of a polemic, even though the movie is an insanely reverent film, Dogma. And so Disney was like, get rid of this movie. And so here comes the name. Harvey Weinstein bought the movie personally. So I would write periodically and be like, hey, man, like Dogma's out of commission, and never hear back, and be like, hey, Dogma's coming up on 15th anniversary, never hear back and stuff. Then one day, I got like after I'd left, I hadn't been at the Weinstein company in 12 years. I got a phone call. And they're like, hold for Harvey Weinstein. And so I hadn't heard from this dude in 12 years. And he goes, Kevin, Harvey. And I was like, hey, man, how are you? And he goes, good. He's going, I just realized I got Dogma, and we haven't done anything with it. And this cast is still like a marketable cast. They're all still working. He's like, do you think you got a sequel or maybe a streaming series in you? I said, oh, my God. Yeah, man. Yeah. And this was a dream phone call. Like, I hadn't heard from these cats, from anybody at Weinstein Company in years. Then I hung up. 3 days later, the New York Times released an article that was, earth-shattering for those of us who came from that world who had no clue. Like, all we'd ever heard about that guy, because, like, how often do you ever hear about your boss and proclivities at night? Like, that dude was all business.
Yeah.
But within the world, it was known that, like, he cheated on his wife or something like that, maybe. Never heard any of this other stuff. So you're reading the New York Times being like, what? Where was I in the story?
I'm still
3 days later. The
New York Times. So I talked to my friend John Gordon, who also worked at Miramax, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy! Like, did you know?" He's like, "No, I didn't know." Did you know? I was like, "I never heard anything." And then I said, "John, I don't know how to tell you this, but I feel dirty. But that guy called me last week. He called me and he talked about doing a Dogma sequel and stuff like that." And John goes, "Kevin, he was calling to see if you were one of the New York Times sources." Since you answered the phone, he knew you weren't one. And so he said some stuff you would want to hear about Dogma and got off the phone. If you hadn't answered the phone, he would have suspected you were one of the sources.
Wow.
Now, in terms of egregious things that Harvey Weinstein has done, this is way on the bottom of the list. Feel no pity for me. But long story short is, he had that movie even when he went through his legal troubles. I don't know if anybody knows, but he went through some legal troubles, went to jail.